Friday, Denise Nostrom, the financial chick, and Karen Dunne, Esquire. So we're going to get this party started. So we made it to Friday. Oh man. Any good plans this weekend?
Actually, for the first time in a long time, no, just
Oh,
gonna be home.
Sometimes you just need that.
We're at Saratoga last weekend, which is amazing.
Oh, nice.
Have you been there?
I haven't.
I would
No.
highly recommend it.
Really?
Yeah. Great city, great restaurants, great, just really nice place to go.
Just for the weekend you went?
We went for one weekend, Friday through Monday.
Oh, okay, nice.
So, it was great.
I know, like, we tend to not go like local places
Right.
that,
Right.
are so wonderful.
Uh-huh.
I know a lot of people go to Lake George. I haven't been there like since I was little.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I like Lake George too, but I like Saratoga more.
Yeah. Very cool. And it's always good to hear new places to check out.
We have
My husband wants to take the
2
boat.
minutes.
Okay. My husband wants to take the boat up, like upstate, like or lower upstate.
Okay.
Like through like Westchester and all that kind of
Okay.
stuff. So that would be a bit of a trip.
Well, like up the Hudson River, or how?
Yeah,
oh,
yes,
wow.
exactly.
Wow.
So we actually we had like a bow rider that we launched out of Queens, and then we went to the Verrazano Bridge and all through like Manhattan or around Manhattan.
Wow.
That was so cool. But with this boat, we went to Brooklyn. We powered out from Patchogue to Brooklyn, and we docked. The New York City skyline was in front of us, and Brooklyn Heights was behind.
Oh, that's amazing. So cool. Wow.
You know.
How big is the boat?
It's like a 27-foot.
And your husband's comfortable maneuvering all around the city and everything?
He
Wow.
he is,
That's
and
great.
he's adventurous, and we're crazy enough to go along with all that, No, it's we trust him.
You can just call me Karen Dunne. You don't need to use the Lee.
Oh, okay.
You can, but it's, yeah.
Mhm. Definitely tired. I'm trying to get my second wind. Friday. It's hard
Friday.
It's like really going down.
Yep.
All right, guys, here we go in 10 seconds.
Denise Nostrom, CEO and founder of Diversified Financial Solutions. Now more than ever, investment advice is needed, not just where best to invest your money, but why. Are you investing for your future retirement? Are you retired and looking to maximize your income? Are you maximizing your income and conserving and leaving money for your loved ones? Are you investing for your retirement at the same time saving for your children's education and at the same time saving to buy another home? Are the markets in line with your goals? Are your goals ever changing? Please contact me at 631-758-8691. That's 631-758-8691. For business at diversifiedfinancial.biz. For over 25 years, I have been helping individuals, families, and business owners navigate through Philadelphia conditions with only one goal in mind. My clients. Visit me at diversifiedfinancial.biz or call Denise Nostrom, founder of Diversified Financial Solutions at 631-758-8691. That's 631-758-8691 for a conversation about my most important client.
Hello, thank you for tuning in. We made it to Friday. I hope you all had a really good week. You are listening to the Financial Chick Show, and I am the Financial Chick. My name is Denise Nostrom, the CEO and owner of Diversified Financial Solutions, a full-service independent financial planning firm located in Medford. I am here live every Friday from 5:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. on 103.9 LI News Radio. Your Financial Chick is here to help you make better financial decisions and choices to improve your life and reduce your anxiety and stress about money. If you have any questions on anything we discuss on the show, you can check out my website at financialchickshow.com. If you missed any shows, you could listen to them under the Media tab on the website. We are also on Facebook at Diversified Financial Solutions. So like our page to get updates and see what is happening. So here we are, the last Friday in July. I wish time would slow down just a little bit. The summer's moving along just totally quickly at this point. Although today, man, it's been a perfect day here on Long Island. The sun's shining and the weather is great. I hope the weekend weather is just as good. So at Diversified Financial Solutions, we do comprehensive holistic financial planning. So what does that mean? Many advisors call themselves financial advisors, but only address your investment needs. Now that is a big part of a complete financial package, but there are so many other important issues that need to be addressed. Do I have the right amount of cash reserve? Do I have adequate coverage to protect those things I can't afford to lose? What if I become disabled or die prematurely? I find that many people do have many of those financial puzzle pieces together, but lack some very important planning documents. The Financial Chick looks at all the facets of proper planning. Over the years, I have put together a very good team of strategic partners to help you to complete that full financial puzzle with ease and clarity. Today, I'm thrilled to have one of those strategic partners with me here today in the studio. I would like to introduce you to Karen Dunne. Welcome to the show, Karen.
Thanks, Denise. Great to be here.
I'm so glad you're here. So please tell my audience a little bit about yourself and about your practice.
Okay. I've been practicing for 36 years. I do nothing but surrogate court work, which is anything involving estates or guardianships or anything that deals with the surrogate's court. But a large part of my practice is estate planning. And there's complicated, sophisticated trusts that people want, but everybody needs the basic documents. The most important one being a power of attorney, which so many people say, I don't need that. My accounts are joint with my husband or my wife. So what do I need a power of attorney for? My house is in both our names. But what they don't realize is, they say, oh, if they die, it'll go to them. Yes, it will. But it's not the dying, it's becoming incapacitated during their lifetime and living. And that's when things get really complicated. And so much of the complication could have been avoided if they had a power of attorney, which is a fairly basic document.
Absolutely.
So it makes all the difference in the world, because without that, they need a guardianship. If something was to happen to one spouse and they could no longer make financial decisions, even though the other spouse is on the deed, the well spouse couldn't sell the house if they decided to downsize or move in with one of their children, or you can't do any of that without a power of attorney. So that it's not an expensive document at all, but it's so important for people to have.
It's so true. And what I say to my clients is that, a lot of these documents that we're going to talk about today, especially that one, is your voice when you may not have one. And we're not even talking that you're not going to be here. It's just that you're here, but you're not able to make any financial decisions or whatever the case. So the power of attorney, say it's the same thing, like when you call the doctor and say, oh, I want my spouse, just tell me about his records, his or her records.
Right.
They're not going to tell you anything. So it's the same thing in the financial arena, in the legal area, and they don't realize that. So that is a really, really, really important place, or important thing to have in place, I should say. So one of the other things that, there's a lot of things that are important, right? But one thing is the will. I guess let's talk a little bit about a will. Why should people have them? And maybe people that don't need it. But I would say the majority of people do, but there are people that don't.
Everybody's better with one than without one,
Sure.
but there are people who don't absolutely need one. There are many people who come into my office for a free consultation, and they'll come in to talk about a will. And as part of that consultation, I'll talk about a will. And if they have children under 18, absolutely you need a will, because you need to name a guardian, and so that the person you would like to take charge of your child, their person especially, should be named in your will. So that's absolutely, anybody with a minor child should have a will.
And the same thing, again, of having a voice when you may not have one. You want to make that choice, not the courts.
Correct. And if you have a spouse and you have adult children, usually most couples have all their assets jointly. So probably upon the first death, there won't even be need to probate the will. The will wasn't really needed.
Mm-hmm.
But as we just said a minute ago, that power of attorney, as part of the consultation, I'll explain to them about a will, power of attorney, and healthcare documents.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll say, oh no, I only want to spend $100, let's just say.
Right.
And I'll say, then spend that $100 on the power of attorney, because unless you have minor children, all those reasons, everything's gonna pass to your spouse anyway. But most people should have a will because it's the only way you can name your guardian. It's the only way you can nominate the executor, the person who will be in charge of your estate. And it's the only way that there's times where people have a reason they don't want to leave it all equally to their children. They may want to leave it to one set of grandchildren because that particular son isn't good with money, or you might want to set up a trust for your children or grandchildren so that the money doesn't go to them outright. So a will's a very basic document, but it's so important to be done, and it's also really important that it be done by an attorney. People think they can prepare it themselves. I've had a few clients. I had one recently where I actually went to their house, and I had agreed to go there. And when I got there, they told me, "Oh, you're here anyway. Why don't you can just notarize it. We did our own will. Can you just notarize it for me?" And the reason, obviously, I'm not just saying this so attorneys can make money, but when a will is prepared by an attorney, the law has a presumption of validity. So anybody who would possibly try to contest it has a much, much more difficult time if it's prepared by an attorney. If it's not, there are so many things you could do wrong. You have to have 2 independent witnesses, a notary. People often have their spouse witness or their child, and they're not, you can't do those kind of things.
It's just like kind of on a cocktail napkin, let's
Correct.
That's not really true,
Correct.
but that's a question that I get all the time. Do I can just do it myself. I don't want to spend the money.
Right.
Again, it's not a lot of money, and sometimes spending the money, it saves you money in the long term.
Absolutely.
And dying, they call it intestate, without a will. I had a story a couple of years ago where one of my clients' mothers had his boyfriend and whatever, and he passed. He never had a will. And he had some assets, but at the time we didn't have TOD and stuff like that, so he didn't have any beneficiaries on it, or it was a non-qualified account. Anyway, so he, unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know, this guy was married numerous times, so you probably know, right? So they had to go back all of these people to vet and make sure that there weren't any children from the said marriages. Oh my God! So have a will. It's basically
Have a will. Makes life a lot easier for everybody you leave behind.
Absolutely, and again, it's writing down. And we always say, write down notes to go to the supermarket, or we even take notes to take a trip. But this is an important facet, important document in your life to really kind of have your directives as to what you want to do.
And one other point on that, Denise, is people often think, "Oh, I have a will. I just want to make some changes," and they take a pen and they make the changes. Or you can't do that. By doing that, you're going to invalidate the will that you have. So if you want to make changes, you should see. Doesn't have to be the lawyer you originally used, but it can be, or anybody else, just to make it sure that it's
Well, that's a great point. That's a great point. And then as far as the will, obviously you want to keep the originals. Who else should have that copy of that will?
Nobody really.
Really? Okay.
Sometimes people want different family members to have copies. Generally, my recommendation is you keep yours in a fireproof safe type thing, because if more people that have, certainly you only want one original, number one. I recently had one where the person did it themselves and signed 12 originals. And then every original needs to be produced. It's a nightmare. But I don't really recommend, you can give it to your executor a copy if you would like. Let them, but the important thing is to let them know where the original is kept so that they can find it.
Well, we're running into the break already.
Okay.
See how fast this goes. So this is the Financial Chick. The company's Diversified Financial Solutions. I help you look for financial solutions when you feel like there are none. We are closing in the commercial break, so stay tuned. We're going to talk more about wills, and I think we're going to get into some trusts and just having all your legal documents in place, because it gives you peace of mind and makes things go the way you want them to go. So stay tuned. So that's interesting.
You have such a great radio voice.
Oh, thank you.
That whole thing at the beginning, the pre-recorded message is great.
Oh my God, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
I didn't realize injurydocs.now.com.
I think when you were here last time, this is the new sponsor. There was a difference. Well, we might go to one place, but there was a different sponsor here.
Okay.
But I'm here all the time. But yeah, so this is the new company, and they have a show now and stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's pretty good. So yeah, so I was just thinking, we'll go into to trusts.
Okay.
Do people need both a will and a trust, and if so, what circumstances? And then, of course, the medical issues, you know, are important.
Mhm.
What documents would be good for that? And then maybe if we have time, you know, talk about students going back to college. What we talked about is like, you know, they're young, but what are some documents that they need, you know, to make it all happen? I give this to, this is like when I get to my clients, like the 5 documents that they should have. To get them started, I say, bring this to the attorney and get this done.
That's great. Can I keep that?
Of course, yeah.
Not that I didn't.
No. But yeah, just, it's just that I put in the financial plan and I said, you know, these are things, I'm like, did you get done? Did you get done? Right, well, so that's why it's got to have names of attorneys and stuff to help them, because a lot of times people don't have.
Right.
Names, you know, so. Yeah, it's important to keep those people together and on track.
All right, guys, we got 15.
Okay. Welcome back. This is Denise Nostrom, the Financial Chick. My company is in Medford, and you can reach me at 631-758-8691. That's 631-758-8691. Or visit my website at financialchickshow.com. I am here to help you on your financial journey. Over the years, things changed, and I am here to help you navigate all those changes. So I am here with Karen Dunne. She is an attorney, and she specializes in the area of estate planning. So we're talking about those legal documents that we need, that everybody needs, you know, to make sure that your intentions are followed out, whether while living or, you know, when we move on to our next adventure, so to speak. So we talked a little bit about wills, the fact that, you know, people need wills, people need power of attorneys, very, very important documents. But the biggest thing, the biggest question I get is people say, I have a will, why do I need a trust? Or I have a trust, do I need a will too? So let's talk a little bit about that, maybe the difference between a will and a trust and why people would have one or the other or both.
Well,
That was a lot of questions.
I'm only going to focus on New York because that's where
Okay,
we are and
that's-
that's where we live.
For sure.
Because it's very different if you live in Florida, but that would take much longer to explain.
Okay.
But New York has basically what's called a simple probate system. So there's no real need to try to avoid probate, which is the kind of a regular revocable trust, meaning it can be changed, a living trust.
Mhm.
There isn't too often that it's needed in New York. It's a will usually will suffice. The only times that it becomes more pressing to have a trust instead of a will in New York would be if you have distant relatives, meaning you don't have a spouse, children, brothers, parents, brothers, sisters. You don't have anybody except beyond like first cousins, you know. So people who would be hard to necessarily locate at the time of death. So in that situation, you might want to consider a regular revocable living trust. But most clients who I see come in not knowing what kind of trust they want, but what they really should consider, especially by age 60-ish, would be an irrevocable trust. So, because what that does is any assets that you put into that trust after a 5-year period has passed, they're completely protected for Medicaid purposes. So if you need to go into a nursing home, which is regular full, you know, you need to be on Medicaid, or if you need help in your house, which would be community Medicaid, that's a 2.5-year look back period of 5 years for full Medicaid. If you have this trust and you've done it while you're healthy and, you know, it
Which
protects
is
your
the
money.
key part, right?
The key
Doing
part.
it right.
Many people think about it and then they put it off, and then now they're in their 70s and I had clients this week who are in their late 70s, and should we do it still? Do we have 5? I can't predict that.
Right,
None of us can. But if you put it off, you're risking not having that protection if you need it.
So when you put in, like, what would be the things that you put into a trust
Well,
to protect?
if you're doing an irrevocable trust, by far the kind of no-brainer is your house.
Home, yeah.
House or other real property. Because It does cost money to record the new deed. In Suffolk County, that's $395 now. In Nassau, it's $980. So it's,
Wow,
that's just to record.
Okay.
But you put your house in because you live in your house, not on your house. So by putting your house in, you're not giving up anything. You still get to use all the same tax exemptions, like if you have a star exemption or a veterans exemption, you don't lose any of those. So you really, the trust has language in it that allows you to, your trustee on your behalf, to sell the house should you decide you want to sell it at any point. And then you could either buy a new property in the name of the trust, or you could invest the proceeds in the name of the trust. The important thing people need to know is by putting whatever you put into the trust, you're entitled to any income that is made from it, but you are not entitled to the principal. The principal goes to your remainder men, which is usually your children or whoever you know you want to leave it to. But that's the important thing for people to understand, is you can't get this protection without giving up something. So if you think you're going to want $100,000 to just go on a world cruise, not that many people are doing that these days, you probably don't want to put that in a trust.
So again, you give the consultation, you said you give free consultations. That'd be something that, you want to get in there, you want to talk, you want to look at your situation. And a lot of times as a financial advisor and, you as an attorney, we work together with the clients to, say, maybe these items that you would put in. And we know that retirement items we wouldn't put in.
Correct.
So those types of things would be separate. So it's really between the house and the non-retirement assets as to
Right.
how much should be put in there, or how much you want to protect.
You have to weigh the pros and the cons of each
Absolutely.
item. Exactly.
Yeah, so that's good. So, I again, same thing, it's a case-by-case basis, even with when clients come to me, it just depends. That's why it's so important to sit in and talk with someone like yourself,
Right.
to see what would be the best for you, and really to find out what your goals are. What is it that you're looking to achieve?
Right. What's
That's
the most important thing?
Yeah.
Is it, some people, they don't want to give up control of anything.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the case, then certainly something like an irrevocable trust probably isn't for them, even though it might help them long run. If that's their thing, then the will. One important thing is the trusts have language in it that says that you have the right to exercise what's called a limited power of appointment, which means even though the trust is irrevocable, you can always change your will. And because you might want to change who ultimately is going to take.
Right.
So you, in your will that you do at the same time you do the trust, you have language referring to the trust, and you can always change who property goes to. So it's kind of an interesting,
Well,
they'll
that's-
work together.
Well, that's good to know, because people do change their mind. I find that too, like, oh, well, I have them as beneficiaries. No, I'm going to change that now because I'm not too fond of them, so I'm going to move on to somebody else.
Correct.
But, so it's good to know that there's that flexibility in that type
Absolutely.
of thing.
But one other thing I was just thinking of, Denise, and it definitely has to do with what you do. Many people have and should have beneficiaries on their accounts. But I think it's important for people to know when they shouldn't, because there's sometimes they'll do a fairly complex will with different trusts for the children or grandchildren, and then when it comes right down to it, after the fact, they'll tell me, oh, but so-and-so's already the beneficiary, and I said, that's great, but the beneficiary is what prevails.
Absolutely.
Your document means nothing if there's not money in your name alone to pass through the will or through the trust, So that's a really important point.
And that's the important thing, and I wish more, advisors would do that. I mean, I work very closely with attorneys and with accountants, because, we're all running the same lane. We're running
Correct.
the same lane to help the clients in the same way, and, your work overlaps with mine, which overlaps with the accountants,
Right.
and so it's really important to have those conversations, so,
Because the clients don't realize that. They just
They
say,
don't.
oh no, I have the beneficiary, but it'll still go through the will. I'm like, no, it won't.
Yeah.
So it's important to work
all
together.
this stuff works, it all works hand in hand, absolutely. So one of the other things, medical issues are very important, and we've seen, that's been definitely in the forefront with the pandemic and everything. Many people were taken by surprise. So what are some documents that makes the lives easier for everyone, and what should they prepare?
Well, the two basic documents that everyone should have is a healthcare proxy, which is a very basic document that names your agent and an alternate agent to make healthcare decisions should you be unable to do so. And then the living will or healthcare decisions instructions. you usually name the same agent, but that specifies under New York State law when they're allowed to, when you want them to be able to disconnect life support and, follow your wishes. It's important to have that, because without that, the hospital doesn't have guidance. So it's really, and people say, oh no, my wife will just decide. Yeah, but when the HIPAA laws came into existence, you need these documents in order for the hospital or doctor to be able to legally hear what your wishes are if you can't express them.
Absolutely. And then when you have the two sides of the coin where, maybe a family member feels one way and the spouse feels another way, and then you have the arguments, and you want to prevent all of those things.
Right.
So, yeah, I definitely need an hour show. So anyway, with so much information to share. But that was great information. So why don't you give, the phone number for your office, although we work together, so
Right.
if you have any questions, you can always call me. But
Sure. My office phone number is 631-878-4171. And again, my name is Karen Dunne.
Karen, you're awesome. I love that you just it's real deal, not throwing the trust down people's throats. It's what you need, not what you want, that kind of thing. There's so many attorneys that are out there, so I definitely appreciate that. So we'll have to get you back on. There's more things we got to talk about. But thank you all for tuning in today. I hope you have a wonderful summer on Long Island. It's definitely the best, no doubt. And just enjoy the weather. We're praying for good weather, And I will see you all next Friday. Thanks for tuning in.
I'm very impressed.
It goes
It
so
goes
fast.
It does go really fast. There's so many more things.
Crazy.
I just can't see doing it myself, because I just feel like it gets stressed and I'm like, no, that I have to. That.
Ladies.
Hey. So what's up?
No, that's good show. Good information.
Thank you.
You already have all the information.
The chicks rule the whole world. All right, you just slow your roll over there.
Yeah, you guys are good. You guys are good. No, you guys do well. And you get everything. You get to have babies. If the Titanic's sinking, you get to go off the ship first. With your babies.
Oh, his outfit's still in there.
Oh no.
I remember I put them on the towel.
All right, well, I'll wait for you in the wall.
Okay.
All right.
So sorry.
We're still on live. Hi, everybody.
Have a great week. I'm going to hear from Lewis about which show you want to go, right?
Yes.
Just give us the date.
Oh, okay. All right, yeah.
We have them all titled on the SoundCloud, so whichever one you want,
Okay.
that might make it easier to pick from the list.
Right, because I have it on my website too. Oh, I don't know what happened. I don't even know if that actually did this. Oh, wait a minute. Here we go. Yes, we were. Okay. Bye, everybody. Have a good one.